Good morning and happy 2024 to you. This is my first broadcast of the new year, so I'm super excited to see you all here. This is Surfing Your Edge Live, and I am Kristine Goad, your Surfing Your Edge coach. I help you become friends with fear so you can stop reality sizing your dreams and finally live the bigger, bolder, badass life you know you were born for. So, to get right to the point, today we are here to talk about the three keys, the key to overcoming fear, and my three top strategies to change your relationship with fear so you really can get out of your own way and start living the life you know you want and deserve. All right, so let's get started. Ah, a lot of times we treat fear as though it were a stop sign. And in fact, it's actually the opposite. It's a friendly sign that says, you know what, you're right on the path you should be on. Because when we are afraid of something, it is our self-preservation, right? Our little saboteurs that are meant to keep us safe and healthy. It's them popping up to say, you know what? We can just stay right where we are. It might be a little bit painful and not what we want it to be, but we know what it is and we're not dying, so let's just stay here. And that's really not helpful if you want to grow and become more of the person you are really meant to be. So today we're going to talk about how to change your relationship with fear and really get moving in 2024 to do and be all the things you really want and feel you're meant for. All right, so here we go. Um, Before we get started on all of that, though, I do want to let you know that I have built my whole business around fear. I am the Surfing Your Edge coach, and that requires getting out on the edge of your comfort zone and managing the fears that come up on a daily basis and that come up anytime you want to try something new. And I basically discovered somewhere in my mid to late 40s that I really thrive when I'm in over my head, when I am trying to do something big and scary and exciting, and I don't know how to do it. So that is really the foundation for the business that I built. I want to help other people get where they're going faster than I have gotten where I want to go. And I want to help you all deal with the fear that comes up. So I created the Surfing Your Edge coaching business. And then I also, 2019 was the first year we went, I created the Surfing Your Edge experience, which is a learn to surf experience for women over 40. Basically, we go off and try to learn to surf, not so that we can become great surfers, but so that we can learn about ourselves when we're doing things that are new and scary. And the reason I chose surfing is because at the time it was the thing that I was most terrified of. I had had a fear of open water um, oceans my whole life and had never been in ocean water over my head before, and was really thinking, and I was even afraid of open water lakes, anywhere I couldn't see the bottom. I was scared of. So when I created the Surfing Your Edge experience, that really was me saying, I'm going to go off and be scared, and I'd love to bring some other people with me and see what we learn and how we can use what we learn on a surfboard in the ocean to change our lives back home and make them more of what we want them to be. So that's where I got started. And in the last 4 years since I started that part of my business, I've learned an awful lot more about fear than I had before. So first of all, I want to say, we talked about fear not being a stop sign. It's actually a sign along the road saying, yes, yes, this way, even though it's often sends us packing the other direction. So we want to reframe. My first strategy is to reframe your relationship with fear and start to understand that it is really your friend. It's telling you, okay, if you go here, things are going to change. And that could be a good thing. It may not be, but it could be a very good thing. So it is telling you that you are on the right path if you want to try a new experiment, grow, move your life in a different way. So the way to start this, to start feeling like fear is a friend, is to start to reframe it in our minds from being something to run away from and calling it fear to being something we call excitement, right? Sometimes fear and excitement, they get confused. And when we're about to try something new, it can be scary, but it's also exciting. So, in my mind, if something is at least as exciting as it is scary, maybe even a little more exciting than it is scary, then that means it is an appropriate challenge to be setting yourself up for. So, learn to reframe fear as excitement. And the other thing we want to know is we don't want to fight fear. This is another reason to make it your friend because anything we resist, we're focusing on, we're going to get more of in our life. Anything you focus on, you grow. So if you're focusing on fear, you're going to have more fear. You're going to have more things to be afraid of, more fear about the things that you're already afraid of. So we don't want to fight fear. We want to make it our friend. Um, so that is number one. Reframe your relationship with fear and make fear your friend. Number two, practice taking risks that aren't crucial to your overall success. This one, you might have heard it as eat the frog first, which I really, really hate. Um, but the main key to it is that um, you do something little that scares you every day. And I have a friend, Linda Sunshine West, who woke up every day for a complete year and said, "What am I afraid of today?" And then went off and spent a good chunk of her day figuring out what that thing was and then going off and facing that fear. You don't have to spend that much time on it. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be, oh, today I'm feeling anxious about writing that email, or I don't want to make that phone call, or I'm starting a new project and I don't know where to start. And so I'm choosing to feel overwhelmed rather than just diving in. So you get to choose what fear you're going to face. And it doesn't have to be a big, scary one, but just get used to doing the thing that scares you. And I want to talk about that a little bit more deeply. In 2023, I created the Bigger, Bolder, Badass experience, which is a 6-month coaching program for basically anyone who wants to become a more fuller expression of the person they were born to be. And we start out by figuring out um, who you are now, right? Because we don't always take a lot of time to think about that. We have an idea of who we are from younger years. We have an idea of who we are based on what other people around us have told us we are. So we start out by getting to know ourselves a little bit better. And then as fears arise, I have a wonderful program that we go through that helps you learn to recognize your main saboteur voices, the ones that try to keep you stuck and safe, and we learn other ways to manage those voices so that we can really see the gift in every experience and start to listen more to our sage uh, mind, which is the one that tells us that we are enough and that everything that our experience is happening for our better, for our own good rather than something that's meant to keep us from moving forward. So we do that, and then at the end of the program, toward the end of the program, we do something where it's a choose your own adventure. And this is an experience where you get to choose which edge you want to surf, what fear you want to play with. And me being me, I don't ever coach in a way where I'm not doing the things that I'm asking my clients to do. So in the first iteration of Bigger, Bolder, Badass in 2023, I learned, well, I wouldn't say I learned to sing. What I did was I practiced singing with a singing coach. and I was terrified. In fact, it was over Zoom, and I was so terrified that I could look at the coach when he was speaking, but whenever I was going to open my mouth and sing, I couldn't look at him. So I had to like sing up, and he thought I was singing up to try to open my throat, which probably it was happening, but it was really just because I couldn't bring myself to look at someone else when I was making these horrible sounds. And so over the course of 3 months, I took 9 lessons and really had a lot of fun. Every lesson, there was still resistance, right? It was terror at first because I'd been told that I didn't sing well, and I've had bad experiences with singing in public. Um, so there was terror at first, and then as the lessons went on, there was still this resistance that said, I don't need to practice this. I'm I'm never going to sing for anyone. Um, And so I had to overcome resistance at the beginning of every single lesson, even though we spent almost every lesson completely laughing and having a great time because I chose the perfect coach. Let me know if you want to know his name. I will happily share it with you. He is a fabulous, but he does make learning fun, which means that I spent all summer rewiring my brain around vocal training, right? So that I was playing with it, and I was having fun, and I was experimenting, and it stopped being a thing that was so terrifying that I couldn't do it. And in fact, I cringingly, oh my gosh, sang for my group on the last meeting of the program. And it was horrible in my mind, but they were all very appreciative of the fact that I tried. So I do practice what I preach, and I have a regular, we're going to call it, a lot of people call it a fear practice. We're going to call it a badass practice. So having a daily badass practice where you practice being your badass self, where you practice being unapologetically you, that is what I'm going to encourage for our strategy number 2. And finally, strategy number 3 is to pick a large goal that scares you, but that you don't have to bite off and do all in one big fell swoop. You can baby step your way toward your goal. And I have another story for this one. When I created the Surfing Your Edge experience, where we go and learn to surf in Panama, um, as I said, I was terrified of open water. And I have led 3 retreats now in Panama where I practiced surfing. And the first year I was terrified to even go into waves, that were hitting my chest. I thought that was pretty scary and was terrified of being sucked out into open water. Um, but I played, and I played again the second year. And then this year, year 3, I'm sorry, 2023, our third retreat, things really started to shift. I had never, before this, before I started leading these retreats, I had never surfed. I had never snorkeled. Like I said, I'd never been in water over my head that was ocean. So the first year I had to learn to snorkel, which my sister thought was hysterical because she just, she's the kind of person that she says, I'm going to do something, and she just goes off and does it and doesn't have to take a lot of time to learn something. But I had to learn, and I got left behind because I was afraid to snorkel around the islands that we were snorkeling in, and I would be, left alone on a beach to kind of play and kick and splash and practice my breathing and trying things where I could touch. So the second year was similar. I had another person along on the trip who was also a little bit nervous of the snorkeling portion. So she and I kind of stayed in safer waters and shallower waters and you know paddled around together. And then this last year, I finally had the courage to set off around the island with everyone else and was able to go into water that was much deeper than I could stand. in and, saw sharks and had this really magical moment with a sea turtle. I was kind of off by myself, and this little sea turtle just kind of came swimming right toward my face. And that felt like my gift for all of the work that I had done dealing with my fears of open water. Is certainly something that couldn't have happened had I not um, been practicing being my bigger, bolder, badass self. And I really had this moment of understanding that there's so much goodness on this planet, and I don't have the right, I guess, to stay small. If there's something that I can do to make life on this planet better, then I need to do it. And I can't let my fears keep me back. So I did have a big goal when I started Surfing Your Edge, which was to see how far I could get in overcoming my fear of open water. And I would say that I did it over the course of 3 retreats. I think I transformed my terror of open water to a healthy respect for open water, and think that I can. And I also started last summer, I also started stand up paddleboarding in open water, in rivers and lakes and reservoirs where I couldn't see the bottom, and paddled away from the shore and was taking risks. So this stuff works. So there you have it. Those are my 3 strategies for overcoming, let's say, overhauling your relationship with fear. Um, Reframe your relationship with it so that you start to feel like fear is your friend, and you understand that it is not a stop sign, but it is instead a sign along the route telling you that you are going exactly the direction you should be going, and that the feelings you're feeling are not fear alone, but they're excitement. And that excitement can help you keep moving forward and drive you to achieve whatever it is that you're hoping to achieve. Strategy 2 was to to practice taking risks that they aren't crucial to your overall success, and to start building a badass practice where every day you do something a little bit more challenging than the day before, or just, whatever it is that's presenting itself to you today as the thing that is making you nervous or anxious or scared. And finally, the third one was to pick a large goal and then baby step your way toward it. And I'm happy to say that if you would like to practice this in community and with the support of a coach and other people who are ready to live the bigger, bolder, badass life they came to the planet to live, um, I have opened registrations for the 2024 Surfing Your Edge experience and it will be happening in July this summer. It's 8 days in Panama, and it is gorgeous and a lot of fun. So I'd love to share the details with you about that. And also on January 31st this year, I am starting the Bigger, Bolder, Badass, a new Bigger, Bolder, Badass program. The same one that I ran last year. It'll be better because I've run it once and it's only going to get better. But a brand new cohort, and that is 6 months of coaching and support and fun. So, and there's really an even more exciting thing about that, and that is that in January, if you sign up for the retreat, there is a way to get the Bigger, Bolder, Badass 6 month program absolutely free. So if you're interested in learning more about either one or both, please drop the word 2024 below, and I will send you information about the retreat, and we can go off and play together. And I will also send you information about Bigger, Bolder, Badass so you can stay home and we can play together. All right, that is it for me today. I hope you are well. I am wishing you wonder. Drop me notes below. Drop me questions or comments below if anything that I said struck a chord or brought up a question for you. I'd love to reach out. All right, take care. Wishing you wonder.